Didn't I say you couldn't take it? This is a morsel of consent. Didn't I say you can't eat it? Didn't I tell you? Those who don't eat remain helpless. Blood flows from their eyes. This is a breath that comes and goes. Didn't I say you could not hear? Pir Sultan, our Ali Shah, our path reaches to the truth. We follow in the footsteps of the 12 Imams. Didn't I say you couldn't fit them? Alright, so these, wait, let me check this. Okay. This was the, let me show you. I think it's the best Ottoman tune in history, and it's one of the best Anatolian themes. Let's see if we can find this on Wikipedia. Interestingly, we can. Fuck you. It's interesting. Yeah, I was looking at the English translation, by the way. Alright, anyway, so this is an Ottoman march anthem. I don't know when it was written actually. It's actually claimed to be written by Pir Sultan Abdal, and he was, I think, an Alevi, which is a kind of form of Shia, but not really Shia, but Europeans wouldn't understand the difference. So I'm sorry about my friends that follow that path about butchering the meaning, but anyway, so I couldn't sleep today, and I can't shout because there are neighbors and stuff, but I just wanted to talk about the Ottoman Empire as a Turk, of course. Interestingly enough, as I couldn't sleep, I'm not in that cheery mood. Not in cheer, but I'm not that energetic. So, still, I thought, wouldn't it be fun to make a video title about like some Turkish dude getting emotional about the Ottoman Empire? But still, I actually get emotional about both the Roman Empire. Vay amına koyayım. Fuck me, dude. I was actually eating some tea with, you know, the old Turkish Balkan pots or something, and it was making this screeching sound. Anyway, I closed it, so no tea. So today we're gonna talk about the Ottomans, and especially in my view, why they failed. No, not why did they decline actually. So, all right, let's cut it short here. The reason actually, okay, Sublime Ottoman State, we call it Devlet-i Aliye. The reason why the Ottomans failed, so you can see actually the different lengths of strength and size of the Ottoman Empire. So this is 1481, 1556, 1683, which is the biggest extent, I guess. Was it the biggest extent? I believe it's the biggest extent. Let me check. Yes, it's the biggest extent. And also I think 1683 was the second or third siege, I mean the famous Winged Hussar siege of Vienna. And this is 1914, and then the end. After the establishment of Turkish Republic, with the rise of Atatürk. So Ottomans were really different. Let's be well, as a Turk, I can't be objective about these stuff. For example, as an American, you can't be objective about your own culture, or vice versa. But I'm trying to explain these in a different manner. So I really got a love for the Ottomans, but alright, let's break down first why I really love them, and why I think, especially if you're a Westerner, you should actually dig deep in the Ottoman Empire and learn more about them. So, I mean, first of all, let's look at the language. Alright, my grandfather actually used to speak Ottoman. Now, I mean, alright, let me get this straight first. So Ottoman language is like the modern Turkish I use in my daily life actually. So I know English really well. So half of my friends actually speak in English because they're foreigners, as I am here in Macedonia. But all right, let's make this clear. How I speak Turkish is I actually put sometimes without noticing actually different words from different languages. So this is natural actually, and this was how the Ottomans would speak, especially because we took our governmental system from the Persians as Turks, and we took our religion from Arabs. And at the fall of the Ottoman Empire, I actually wrote an article about this in my university blog. Maybe I will add this on the description. I also wrote the English version as well. So the thing is, at the fall of the Ottoman Empire, French was lingua franca, okay? It was the most respected language and culture in those times. I'm talking about like 18th, 19th century. Maybe it was, you can make the counter argument that it was not the French language, maybe British or German anyway, or Russian. But in the Turkish Empire, it was like that. So at the fall of the empire, actually, they sent a lot of actually really clever students that made good degrees, or whose fathers or relatives had some influence. They sent them to France, or French actually opened a couple universities and high schools and so on at the late parts of the empire. So these guys would have the best education compared to the other guys that were having education by the old outdated Ottoman system. And they would actually therefore be pashas. I mean, pasha is actually, for my American viewers, for example, pasha is basically, it can mean actually general in a militaristic sense, and also lord, maybe we can call it something like that. So it was one of the highest titles that you could get, and these guys would become pashas, basically Ottoman elite. And at the end of the empire, after the establishment of first and second constitution, at the Sultan Abdülhamid's time, they would basically control the empire. You know, you guys know history. People who watch this, like three pashas, Enver, Talat, Jamal. Anyway, so this led to the extreme influence and invasion, maybe in a good sense, of French words in modern Turkish. So in today, even actually, I was talking with a French guy, and I actually explained the situation to him, and he was like, well, it's interesting actually, but he understood it as well. So there are more than, I think, as if I remember correctly, in my research, 4,000 French words in modern Turkish. And the Arabic and Persian influence is obviously the biggest one, but yeah, you get what I mean. So in that reason, actually, the language system is really interesting. What else can we say about the Ottomans? Actually, the cultural and governmental systems. So this might be funny, but Ottomans are basically they were the third Rome. What I mean by that? Alright, first Rome is the Roman Empire, second Rome is Byzantium, and third Rome was the Ottomans, not the Russians, not the Bulgarians, or fuck no, not the Holy Roman Empire or United States. Maybe you can make the argument about the governmental system of United States. Wait, shit. Fuck, what's going on? My fans of the computer. Anyway, you can make the argument that United States is like they have Senate. Did they borrow some institutions from the Roman Empire? Maybe. Anyway, but in terms of governmental systems and culture, different culture, melting pot of different cultures, Ottomans were the third Rome. At least they're the only thing that we can call third Rome among the claimants. of the said nation, of the said title anyway, because there were a lot of like Greeks, Turks, Bulgars, Serbs, Albanians, Hungarians, Arabs, Egyptians, Caucasians, anyway, Crimeans, Tatars, and also they borrowed a lot from the Byzantine Empire. So, for example, if you look at, all right, you guys all went to probably Turkey. Every like German, English, like Polish, not American maybe. Every person from a different like European country that I met actually went to Turkey, but they usually know like beach sites like Antalya. They no, of course not Istanbul, but all right, we're coming all Turks. We're coming from the Anatolian culture, so Anatolia, to guys who don't know is wait, amına koyayım. Is this area basically. It starts with from Constantinople through here to until Aleppo and Kirkukord somewhere. Anyway, so if you look at the Anatolian, the fuck. If you look at the Anatolian architecture, is actually before the conquest of Constantinople. Basically, the mosques were flat actually. So actually, let's look. All right, I'm gonna show you guys this. All right, where was this? This is Bursa. Anyway, I think it's Bursa. So this is the old architecture of Anatolian mosques, and this was made by like Seljuk Empire times, most of them. You see, it's all fucking flat. It's interesting, but when you look at the mosques that were built after the conquest of Constantinople, for example, yeah, you look at the dome, it's round shape, everything. So this is actually taken from Byzantine architecture, basically. Like the Romans, Ottomans actually had this idea of both tolerance. I know the Balkan guys would laugh at that, but it's like that. I have evidence. And basically what's going on here is Ottomans took influence from the cultures that they encountered or subjugated, and they met just like the Romans did. I mean, not as much as Romans, or they took people's gods or whatever, but you get what I mean. That's one of the reasons that Ottomans are so interesting. And it's basically this argument was actually made by Emrah Safa Gürkan, which is a really good Turkish historian, and he's really popular among especially my generation. Basically, if you look at the ex-colonized or so-called third world countries right now that were at war with the Allies, basically like France, United States, Britain, Russia. Basically, among all of them, actually, Turkey is the only country that's actually quite developed in some sense, relatively speaking, and can still protect her independence. Actually, if you look at Iran, Iraq, or something, they're like great cultures that are ruined, that are in ruins right now. Anyway, so what else can we say, actually? So of course the Ottomans were founded by the Turkoman leader Osman I, Osman Gazi we call. So the thing is, actually early Ottoman history doesn't interest me that much. I know it like 14th century, 13th, 14th century. But after the Timurid invasion and Sultan Bayezid's death, I mean, things really started, especially at Fatih Sultan Mehmet's time. Things really started to get shit, actually, in a good way for Ottomans. Like, they were dominant force. They were the nightmare of Europe, especially the Balkans. Basically, there was no one who could stop them. And this unstoppable force went to Europeans, especially Western Europeans, no, Eastern Europeans and Central Europeans and Italians, for example, to get scared, basically. But French never did, actually, because for the most part, actually, France was the main Ottoman ally in Europe, actually, like only Christian ally. And maybe we can call like Germans, of course, but you get what I mean. And the thing is, what absolute monarchy is what? The Wikipedia is like that anyway. So what happened is, yeah, there was a threat, especially in Italy, in the Balkans, of course, Ruthenia, Ukraine, Russia. Anyway, but there was basically never a threat for the French. So they could actually ally with the Ottomans and fight against their common rivals, Austria or Italians, anyway. But what happened is, actually, Mehmet the Conqueror, Fatih Sultan Mehmet, was a great fucking guy. He was a genius. He was just an like symbol of Turkish Renaissance. He was just the first and maybe the only Renaissance man. Because actually he invited, against ulama's wishes, because they say it was haram, he invited, what was the painter's name? Benini, I think, to make his portrait. And it was, I think it was the first portrait of a sultan. And he got land by force from ulama for Tamar system, actually. Ulama and people actually didn't like Mehmet at the time. They respected him. They called him Ebul Feth, which means in Arabic, actually, father of conquest or something. But after Mehmet's death, Bayezid II, I think, went to the throne, and he was just a bad leader. He focused on, because there was a situation called the Mehmetization in that era, which basically they were doing a lot of conquest at Mehmet's time, but because taxing, deaths, and everything was not basically it was expanding the power and richness of the empire, but in the cost of actually making some people's lives worse. And after his death, actually, Yavuz came and he conquered Egypt and Sultan Suleiman and so on. So what went, you guys asking, to a Turkish guy, is 1683, it's like that. It starts to get stale and lose a bit, then Russian invasion, everything. And it's like this. Lost all the Balkans, everything in Europe, basically, even Cyprus. So what happened is, basically, Ottomans were an unstoppable force, but with the foundation of colonies on New World and discovery of the New World, these trades, everything, like in EU4, went from coming from India to Persia, Basra, Aleppo, Constantinople, and from Constantinople to the world, Europe. And it stopped like that, and it started to come from the New World to Sevilla or Rotterdam, English Channel, maybe Lubeck, anywhere, Venice. You get what I mean, basically. But that wasn't even the main reason. Main reason is science, basically. Ottomans were an unstoppable force, but imagine you're in this position. The reason why Europeans advanced and basically destroyed the Ottomans is they focused on science, they focused on improving their philosophy, their science, like I said, education of their peoples, new military tactics, new naval tactics. Because imagine you're in a situation where a foreign, heathen, heretic empire that's not your religion, they're Muslim, you're Christian, anyway, is dominating you, and you have a risk, or even if you don't have a risk, you think there is a risk, even if you're in Germany, northern Germany or something. So basically what happens is you get basically scared, and not even only scared actually. When you start to develop your country, um, develop, like I said, new military tactics and everything, you basically get from like a losing position to a stalemate and dominate, and then dominating the other opposing rival. So Ottoman system, especially devşirme system, Yeniçeri system, everything was top notch at the time. But then what happened basically is they were like, Ottomans were like, okay, it seems to go well actually. We can sit and collect our taxes and not change anything, and Europeans can't do shit against us. Our soldiers are the most feared and best disciplined in Europe. But then like Spaniards start to create something called like tercio system, or French develop actually new cannon tactics, or like Germans, like Prussians start to destroy basically their rivals in Europe with their tiny little country and size. And Russians start to dominate, and they get richer, and all of these countries get richer and richer from trade, production, development, and from like colonial nations, from New World basically. So what you find yourself is you get a much advanced Europe in terms of technology, much advanced Europe in terms of enlightenment, philosophy, and literacy of their peoples, and much richer Europe than you, of course. And then the Russians start to invade, and the only time actually we can counter them is the Crimean War with the help of the British and the French. Then you all of you guys actually know what it means, what it goes from there. So it's really interesting. I'm living in the Balkans right now. I'm studying, and a couple days ago I was looking at I'm in Skopje, and I was looking at the road to Kosovo, and it was really interesting to think about like hundreds of years of Ottomans and Turks ruling here, and their effects, and people still speaking Turkish a lot in these countries. Actually, it's really interesting, and we share a lot of common things like food, religion in some sense with some peoples. It's actually really interesting, and I got a bit emotional about that actually. And today I couldn't sleep, and I thought I could make this video. And of course this doesn't explain everything. I'm not a historian, I'm not like a chronicler or something. I'm not the authority on this stuff. I'm basically a Turkish guy who is interested in playing video games and loves history, and I'm from Ottoman ancestry, as like I said. So about the thing I was saying at the beginning of the video, my grandfather actually could read Ottoman. It's like Ottoman is written with the Arabic handwriting, but Arabic alphabet. They would actually invite him to the court to read some of the papers from the Ottomans, because there were some feuds between some people that's claiming this land is mine, and so they should actually the judge would look at the Ottoman papers, governmental papers about that. And my mother is an Arabic teacher, and I know English. Like, I've learned a lot from them, and basically I can see today's subject as like why the Ottomans failed, and the problem in Turkey is that right now basically like I won't get in politics of course that much, but right-wing people are basically saying like Ottomans were the best and they didn't have any problems. They were protectorate of Islam. The sultans were caliphs anyway, and leftist people are hating the Ottomans. But you can't basically look at history like that. I mean, it's stupid. You shouldn't have a problem with a certain empire or a certain nation. Depends on some of them, but anyway, you get what I mean. Generally, you shouldn't have a if you're a civilized adult person, you shouldn't have a problem with a certain nation of a certain era that's that's dissolved, that's dead basically. That's why I don't like about my generation's mentality. I mean, you can't look at this shit like that. You should look at history like, okay, what can I learn from here? Or not even to learn, just to read, enjoy, and explore different eras. I mean, you can read the Aztec history, you can read the Japanese history, you can read the Russian history, you can read the Ottoman history. And I really love my nation, I really love my nationality, but I mean, dude, I don't get that hyped up about these stuff. Like, I don't argue with people on Reddit for stupid fucking shit. I mean, anyway. So, anything I can say more? All right, I basically explained my version of why the Ottomans failed. So to summarize it, basically, Ottomans focusing too much on taxation instead of improving their infrastructure, improving their production methods, their trade empire, and their relations with Europe, and Europeans advancing with the help of their militaristic enlightenment, educational and colonial reforms and innovations and discoveries basically. This led to the fall of the Ottomans and after the establishment of the Turkish Republic, which I'm grateful to the father of the Turks, of course. Anyway, guys, I would actually I would laugh more, I would shout more, but it's actually like 2:30 here in Skopje, and I've got neighbors, and I think that actually the walls are not that good, and I can hear the girls from the other house. They usually invite some boys or something, which, okay, I do the same shit, but I invite girls, not boys, but you get what I mean. So I don't want to disturb anyone. So guys, see you, take care.